Hello and welcome back to David Anderson Longbow Arrows. This is now video 2 where we're talking about shaft selection. So in video 1 we talked about what you were going to do with the arrows, and we asked the question, what am I going to do with these arrows apart from shoot them from a bow? In this video we're going to look at the different types of wood that you can use. Now, in days gone by, medieval times, arrows were generally made from ash. This is a good strong wood and usually comes around 3/8 of an inch or half an inch thick. They tended to be around 32 inches long, maybe a bit shorter, maybe 30, but generally around 32 inches long. And they were made like that for a reason. They had to be hard enough to travel over 200 yards from a 150-pound plus longbow, but also needed to be able to penetrate plate mail armor. Now, I showed you this arrow in the previous video. This is a reproduction of a medieval style arrow. You can see probably, if I do that, how long it is. Quite a lengthy arrow, but the point, this is the sort of point that they would have used to penetrate plate mail and certainly chain mail. They may also have used barbed heads as well, which meant that you could, once the arrow had gone in, you couldn't pull it out unless you were going to take their intestines with you. Now, accuracy in medieval battles wasn't really needed. Yes, our English archers were good archers. Yes, they could hit a target. Yes, they were exceptional archers. But if you consider perhaps at the Battle of Azincourt or Crécy, for example, in Azincourt we had approximately 8,000 archers in the English army, and each of those could shoot up to 10 arrows a minute. And I know that because I have tested it as well, and I can shoot 10 arrows a minute, and I am by no means of the standard of archer that they were. Now, if you imagine 8,000 archers all shooting 10 arrows a minute, that is around 80,000 arrows flying through the air, and they're bound to get 1 or 2 Frenchies with that lot, I'm pretty sure. Now, today's archers shoot for recreation because shooting Frenchmen with longbows is frowned upon today and they don't really like it, so we're not allowed to do that anymore. But there are various styles that you can do. There's target, which is the normal one. 3D, where you're shooting at stuffed animals or dinosaurs. There's field, which pretty means you're walking through a field, shooting arrows at target faces. There's also clout, where you're shooting arrows at a great long distance. Roving, which is absolutely fantastic, brilliant for longbow archers. Roving, you start on one position, they say your target is over there, you all aim over there, you shoot your arrow, you go and walk to the arrows, you score your points, and then from there they say your next target is over there, and then you shoot over there. It's a good day's out. Lots of food, lots of drink, excellent, wonderful style. Now, depending on what you do, okay, your arrows may be interchangeable between the styles. So here it is the first time I'm going to mention this, and it won't be the last time that I mention this. Okay, so while your arrows may be interchangeable on different styles of what you're doing, chances are they aren't. Okay, now fletching arrows is an experiment. Okay, now it's so important that I'm actually going to pop it up on the screen. Okay, and I'm going to say it again, fletching arrows is important. It is important, it is an experiment. Fletching arrows is an experiment. It is important, but it's also an experiment. Okay, so briefly, you'll make a set of arrows using specific dimensions, and if you remember back to the previous video when I said grab your pencil and your notebook and jot down what you're doing, okay, they may work or they may not work. You'll then have to adjust the design and try another set. or swap the points and try again, but eventually you will get a set of arrows that work for you. Now remember, every bow and every archer is different, so what works for one might not work for another. Okay, so you could be on a shooting line with another longbow archer and he says, I'm shooting a 40-pound longbow and my arrow spines are 35 pounds and they're 27.5 inches long, and you try that and it doesn't work for you. Okay, even though everything may be the same. Okay, the difference is he may have a different bow than you, made by a different bowyer, and so therefore the wood within the bow itself may be different and therefore react differently. So the best thing to do is, when you get your supplies, is make a number of different arrows at different lengths using different combinations in order to try and get the best one that fits for you and your bow. Remember, fletching arrows is an experiment. Okay, now moving onwards, so as I said earlier, in the old days, ash was generally a very good wood of choice, although they did use poplar too. That poplar is a very good wood as well. You can still get poplar, is also known as tulip wood, but they are quite expensive and tend to be quite thick dowels. Today the go-to wood for most fletchers and those starting out is Port Orford cedar. And that's what I would recommend that you start with if you're starting a fletching process. If this is the first time you're doing it, get some Port Orford cedar shafts. They're very good, the grain is very good, they're very forgiving pieces of wood. Okay, and this particular cedar comes from the northwest region of the United States on the Pacific coast, so as such it's a good, strong, lightweight wood. However, we'll caution you here, demand has exceeded availability, and at the time of recording, Port Orford cedar can be quite pricey, anywhere from around about £2 to £2.82 a shaft. So a shaft as being just one of these. Okay, so it can tend to make your fletching process a little bit expensive. The other problem with POC is a lot of it is deadfall, and that means it comes from trees that have fallen and died rather than have been harvested, and that wood doesn't really make good arrows, so you need to be careful there. Okay, other types of wood available, as we said in the previous video, we've got pine, there's spruce, there's fir, but again you have variations. You've got Douglas fir and hemlock fir. Now both are two different types, and hemlock is not actually a fir tree. Okay, pine comes in Scots pine or Scandinavian redwood. You have German pine, you've got Norwegian pine, to list a few. Again, all are slightly different. The main thing to take away from this though is that spruce is lighter than pine, which is lighter than cedar. So if you're thinking target arrows, you want some and you want some weight, you might want cedar. If you're wanting distance, you might want spruce. Okay, so you get the idea. Okay, and this is why, as I said in the previous video, you're making a note of everything that you're doing. So I'm making some arrows that I want to be able to shoot 1800 yards. I'm going to use spruce wood because it's very, very good, very lightweight. I'm going to use a lightweight point. I'm going to use a small feather. Okay, and then I'm even going to either bobtail or create barreled shafts to help with that flight process, and we'll talk about that at a later stage. Now, if you want some more information about the woods, have a look at the wood database online. I will put a link in the comments below, and you can do a lot of research. It will tell you all about different woods. One thing that I will mention about wood, just about every piece of wood that you touch, it is toxic. So if you are doing something with wood, you're sanding it, you're cutting it, everything, wear a face mask, and also, for heaven's sake, make sure you're wearing eye protection as well. So now we've decided on some shafts. We know what we're looking at. The next thing in video 3 is we're going to look at the shaft itself, we're going to look at the straightness of it, we're going to look how to identify straightness and how to fix if it's got a slight bend and a slight kink in it. Okay, so video 3 is going to be all about examining the shaft. We're going to look at the grains, we're going to look at the flour, we're going to look at the straightness, and we're going to correct it and show you what needs to be discarded and what should be kept. So on to video 3.